Roger, give me that gun run. Right along that back, baby. Aim hot. Clear hot.
Ladies, gents, how's it going? Random Gary here, back with another Gallantry reaction review. Today's a little bit different. We've been invited by The History Of, a very small British channel. We've been invited by these guys to review some of their content and to do a bit of a commentary on it. So today is our first video where we get to have the subject video large in the background and only a little small face of mine, so that'll be a little bit of a difference coming up here. So we're going to check out the history of the Navy SEALs. Hang around for the end. I'm going to be giving away the details of the live giveaway, which will be happening just this week. 3,000 subscribers. We're already on 3,100, and the giveaway for those are these two books here by James Deacon. Once a Pilgrim and The Angry Sea. So cracking books. Special Forces operator with a Special Air Service and a bit of a pal of mine. So let's watch this video. Check out this channel. I'd encourage you to subscribe to them as well, because from what I've seen, these are pretty cool videos. Let's have a look.
History. Every single country or army has always had their special units. The one that sets them apart from other.
Just a question on this one. That whole C grip. Do you see that there? The Charlie grip on the weapon, that C class. This kind of came in as I was midway through my military career, and I do find it quite decent whenever we were doing any kind of CQB stuff. And the reason I found it decent was because it kind of encouraged us to present our front plate, our protection plate. But what's the methodology behind it? What's the thought process behind it? We used to actually anchor the butts of our weapons in the center of our chest on our plate, so we were presenting the center of it, and it kind of made it a little bit simpler to hold the front of the weapon system. Where did it come from? Where did it originate? I've never actually looked into it. I'm not much of a gun nut. I'm not much of a kind of, you know, this is this type of gun kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm interested in that there. It just looks like, also on the SA-80, your hand would be over the gas parts there, and there's a lot of hot gas being expelled from the gas valve and the gas cylinder. I'm not as familiar with the M16 kind of variants. What's that like to have your hand up on that front foresight? Suppose that's why he's wearing gloves, maybe.
Has always had their special units, the one that sets them apart from other militaries. They're often a source of pride, and their name alone can instill fear into the hearts of their enemies. One of these modern forces is the US Navy SEALs. On this episode of The History Of, we're going to discuss the SEALs and how they rose from the waters of World War II to the special operators that can dominate sea, air and land. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to like and subscribe, but without further ado, let's get into it. Before there was the Navy SEALs, there was the UDTs of World War II. UDT stands for Underwater Demolitions Teams. These teams were also known as Frogmen and were responsible for reconnaissance, as well as the clearing of natural and man-made obstacles prior to amphibious landings. Throughout the Second World War, the UDTs showed...
I might need to speak to these guys about doing the kind of production for my Uncle Bill. Uncle Bill was in the special boat section, the section as it was, which then got amalgamated into the Special Air Service. Done a massive raid into Rhodes, which is heavily documented. They actually made a movie about it called They Who Dare. So yeah, I think I'll have to speak the history of and see if they'll do the history of Uncle Bill. What a legend.
Showcased their usefulness time after time during various missions in both Europe and the Pacific. Between 1944 and 1945, they saw action in every major amphibious landing in the Pacific, including Guam, Iwo Jima and Okinawa. The UDTs were the only World War II maritime commando units to survive after the war, and this provided a direct lineage to the modern-day SEAL teams.
I'm not sure about the SBS because they became a bit of a force on their own, but I know our Special Air Service was actually disbanded after the Second World War. Uncle Bill got amalgamated into the Parachute Regiment, and he then went to Palestine for a number of months. I think we've got photos of him in the Nazi staff cars that they reprimanded, that they took off the Germans.
The UDTs also saw action during the Korean War, where they honed their demolition skills and became a more versatile fighting force. They began carrying out stealthy infiltrations as well as raids and attacked enemy harbour and port positions. Despite the success of the Frogmen during the Korean War, their training and the use of them as a fighting force remained relatively unchanged until the 1960s. It was in 1961 that President John F. Kennedy called for an increase in special forces to be able to keep up with the unconventional warfare that was taking place during the Cold War. A year later in 1962, the Navy SEALs were born with the introduction of SEAL Teams 1 and 2 and were made up of
What's the purpose of the helmets? Is this from training?
personnel that were previously part of the underwater demolition
This must
teams.
be a selection process.
The word SEAL itself means sea, air and land, and is named after the environments in which they operate. They proved this during the Vietnam War, in which they completed a wide range of missions, including training South Vietnamese Naval Command a wide range of missions.
Can we just have a little bit of recognition here for this boy wielding what looks like an M60 one-handed, feeding the belt with the other?
Environments in which they operate. They proved this during the Vietnam War, in which they completed a wide range of...
Is that a short barrel on it? Is that a cut-down barrel? That is as alley as it comes. If you've ever like loosed off with a general-purpose machine gun from the shoulder, you'll understand. This boy's got a lot of experience at this. This is hardcore.
Missions, including training South Vietnamese naval commandos, as well as conducting counter-guerrilla operations. The Navy SEALs conducted numerous missions, including hit-and-run raids, as well as ambushes against the Viet Cong. The enemy actually even gave them a nickname of the Men with Green Faces, due to the green face...
We've got a saying in the British military, so we got too little, which is where you don't have enough cam cream. Just right is where you're breaking up the main features, so you go for like the shadow point, the main points that is going to catch all of the light. So cheeks, the eyebrows, the nose, maybe a bit round the ears and the lips. So you're just trying to break it up, and then too much. And this is the too much stuff. Now I used to do this here. I used to plaster myself up in Scotland because the midge and the little bitey kind of flies that you get in Scotland, once they land on this stuff, they just get stuck in it. This is too much, but it's what we do in the jungle as well. Absolutely cake it on. As soon as you sweat, that runs into your eyes, you are blinded, but it's constant battle trying to keep the cam cream on you in the tropical environment whenever you're sweating.
They would wear as camouflage. By 1983, all remaining UDTs were redesignated as SEAL teams, or units that became known as SEAL Delivery Vehicle Teams, or SDVs. In 1987, all SEAL and SDV teams were placed under the new Naval Special Warfare Command, which was located at a naval base in Coronado at the entrance of San Diego Bay, California.
Gotta love Google Earth. This is the secret, the Special Forces kind of center on Google.
Now, there's no way I could do a video on the Navy SEALs without talking about their infamous training. The Navy SEALs training is known as BUDS and stands for Basic Underwater Demolition SEAL. Anyone who's aspiring to be a frogman must complete the BUDS training. The training itself lasts for 24 weeks, and after a 3-week orientation, it's split into 3 phases. These phases are physical conditioning, combat diving, and land warfare. The first phase, physical conditioning, is pretty self-explanatory. It focuses on the fitness of the candidates and involves a whole range of different exercises, including running, swimming, calisthenics and obstacle courses. The 4th week of phase 1 is known as Hell Week. The recruits train for 5 days and 5 nights with very little sleep and participate in numerous activities.
I cannot explain, and the sandy environments where I've worked, so on the beaches where I've been involved in the military, I cannot explain to you how tough this is on your body once you get covered in salt water. Once you get covered in sand, it is like sandpaper. Everything stings, everything is red, and it is just tough on you. But this looks like a different level of sand, and what I mean by that is it just seems to coat the second that it touches. It seems very powdery, very abrasive, and yeah, just trying to administrate yourself in that kind of environment where you're already physically weak, you're mentally quite on the edge. This is grueling, and I get why SEALs do it. Sometimes I look at military training and think that this is just bullshit, you know. But with these guys, they're looking for the mindset. I know they said it's quite a bit about the physical side. I would say actually this kind of initial phase is more about looking for the people with the right mindset. The fitness kind of comes along with it, but you know what? This is really testing the mind. You know you've got what they're looking for if you manage to get it through this phase.
Including the infamous boat races. These exercises are aimed to push candidates to their absolute mental and physical limits and are meant to weed out the weak among them. This extreme training is critical, as when the SEALs get deployed, they need to be able to operate in hostile environments.
I've just thought of a really good example of how important the mental side is. So whenever we got new recruits, we'd get them to a certain phase and then they would do their first loaded march. Now, the recruits, they were 16, 17 years old. They came with variable kind of degrees of fitness. On that first loaded march, they were awful. They were absolutely rubbish. Very few of them struggled with it. Even prior to the event, they would be thinking to themselves, they build it up into something that it wasn't, and it would have an impact on them physically. That mental stress, that mental pressure, it meant that they were ill prepared to perform whenever it came to the actual weighted carries. Now, go forward just a couple of weeks, and they've been still doing physical training and everything, and they've actually, if anything, they've been getting smashed. So, in reality, their fitness levels have probably dipped a little bit. You know, they're not actually as fit because there's been a constant stress and strain on them whenever they go on their next loaded march, because they're prepared mentally for it, because they've experienced it before. They are leagues ahead of where they were. They are not fitter physically. If anything, physically they might be a little bit weaker, but mentally they are so well prepared for it that it just becomes quite a norm. And to me, this is exactly what you're doing. You're desensitizing the brain to those extremities of being under stress, being under pressure, being in that position where you think something is impossible. And if you achieve the things that you think are impossible, it sets you up for better success. A little bit of psychology 101 there, something that I do in my current work, where I work within people performance and consultant teams to be even better. I think it's a huge part of it. But I think that explains why the SEALs, it might look like bullshit. It might just look like they're absolutely thrashing them, but there is method absolutely behind the madness.
And having previous experience of this throughout their training is what makes them a force to be reckoned with. Throughout Hell Week, the instructors constantly remind candidates that they can drop on request or DOR at any point. For someone to DOR, they have to walk over to a shiny brass bell located in the camp and ring it 3 times to signify that they're quitting. Candidates who complete Hell Week then move on. Something
different from selection process to what we would do within the military and basic training, or even in my fire support teams. If somebody wanted to get off the course, they'd be encouraged to hang about. You would talk them up. You would help them explain, look, this is a game. You're in training. You're just going through the process of it. If we didn't think that you should be here, we would tell you that you didn't need to be here, and we would hopefully send you on your way. But in this world, you can't always turn around to somebody and put an arm around them and say, yeah, it's gonna be all right, mate. You know, you're doing okay. It's just such a different world from Green Army, as I would say, from typical
onto phase 2 of the training, which is the diving section. If you thought Hell Week was bad enough, physical activity is actually intensified further during this phase.
I didn't swim in the army. I just prevented myself from drowning on many, many occasions. This was my one weakness in the military. I was absolutely tonk at swimming. I only have like size 7 feet UK, so little tiny feet. So I've not got anything propelling me. And once you put clothes on me and I had drag, I was awful. I could pass a military swim test. I could properly pass it, but it just was not my strength.
And candidates undergo training on combat diving and long-distance underwater dives, among many other things.
I'm good underwater.
If any of the hopeful SEALs aren't particularly strong swimmers, then this phase will identify that weakness, and they would struggle to progress any further through the selection process. Phase 3 is the final stage and focuses on land warfare. The physical training aspect is still continued, and the main focus of this phase is to teach the future frogmen about various topics, such as weapons, demolitions, marksmanship, and tactics. Once BUDS is completed, successful candidates then go on to their SEAL team, where they have to go through their SEAL qualification training, or SQT. On top of further weapons training, there is also numerous classroom-based sessions on intelligence gathering and squad tactics. It's quite clear that SEAL training works on the back of the countless successful missions they have accomplished over the years, including Operations Desert Shield and Desert Storm. When Saddam Hussein's forces invaded Kuwait in 1991, the SEALs provided valuable reconnaissance work along the Kuwait coastline. The SEALs, being masters of deception.
This is a massive piece of Special Forces Tier 1. It's less so about the war fighting whenever it comes to conventional warfare. It's about these little strategic kind of observation, surveillance, target acquisition stuff, and very specific raids into key enemy sites. They are influencing the war at a really, really high level, at a level that somebody in my role would never have been experienced to, never been exposed to at all. The impact small members of Tier 1 Special Forces can have on the overall battle is incredible.
Placed explosives along the coastline and began to detonate them. This made the Iraqi soldiers think the coastline was going to be a point of a major coalition landing, and they thought an amphibious assault was imminent. The Iraqis swiftly moved their troops towards the coast, and this cleared the way for the US Marines to punch through the centre of Kuwait. A few years later in 2009, the need for the SEALs arose again when the merchant ship Maersk Alabama was captured and taken over by Somali pirates, along with its captain, Richard Phillips. The pirates captured Phillips and, using a small lifeboat, attempted to flee to the Somali coast. A squad of SEALs were airdropped into the area and boarded the USS Bainbridge. On April 12th, Easter Sunday, things quickly escalated and the pirates started acting hostile, with one of them seen pointing a gun at Captain Phillips. Believing he was in immediate danger, 3 SEAL snipers sprung into action, and when all 3 pirates were visible and in line of sight, they fired, killing the pirates simultaneously.
This is phenomenal. Now, I've seen it in the movie, and I don't know how accurate it is, but this was being pulled along behind the main US Navy ship. Now, to be able to stabilize yourself on a moving platform to engage into another moving platform, and simple little things like it would amaze you how much of an impact it would have on the fall of shot is your boat sinking while the kind of raft is rising. That doubles the actual distance of where the round will impact. It is incredible to think that all 3 were skilled and drilled enough to believe they could do it, never mind actually do it. They managed to drop all 3 pirates and save Captain Phillips. Absolutely incredible. It blows my mind. Same with helo snipers. I've mentioned that in a previous video. I had a few comments on it. If you're sniping from helicopters, from boats, from any kind of moving platform, wow, yeah, you have my respect.
Phillips was unharmed, and this operation is a prime example of how the SEALs live out their name, sea, air and land. Out of all the SEAL missions, the most high profile is Operation Neptune Spear, which was the mission to take out Osama bin Laden. It was President Obama who gave authorization for SEAL Team 6 to assault the compound of the 9/11 mastermind.
And SEAL Team 6, I believe, is a Tier 1 Special Forces. So in the UK, we would have Tier 1, Tier 2 Special Forces, the kind of Special Forces support group and the elements that surround them. To my understanding, and please comment below, so like they get called DevGru and SEAL Team 6. You have Delta Force. There are so many kind of elements that the US have. We've only really got SBS, SAS. I don't know if Special Reconnaissance Regiment is classed as Tier 1, if they would be classed as the same kind of door kicking. I don't really know too much about SRR. I've got one pal in it, and I'd never ask him the question what he gets up to, because if you have to ask a question, you shouldn't be asking it, should you? So yeah, comment below. I'm pretty sure that's the way it works, but SEAL Team 6 is the Tier 1. They are the top end, counter-terrorism, flipping, door kicking boys. You're going to come in if you do bad stuff like Bin Laden did.
On April 29th, 2011, the SEAL team began training on a life-sized replica of the compound in preparation for the secretive mission.
Of my youth.
A few days later, on May the 2nd, the SEALs got the green light and began their assault on the compound. 2 Army helicopters from the Special Operations Aviation Regiment took off in previously unseen modified Black Hawk helicopters.
Very cool
The helos dropped off 24 Navy SEALs and a military dog into a compound in Abbottabad in Pakistan. On their approach into the compound at around 3:30, one of the helos crashed on the way in, but there were no injuries and the mission continued uninterrupted. The operators began clearing the compound and used breaching charges on locked doors and gates as they made their way through the hostile building. They began clearing the building room by room and floor by floor, using their night vision goggles to help them navigate the darkness. Despite being engaged by numerous combatants on their ascent through the 3-story complex, as they reach the final floor, they enter a bedroom where there is a man and a woman. The man is quickly identified as Osama bin Laden and is shot in the head just above the left eye. 3 other men and 1 woman were killed during the raid. One of those 3 men was bin Laden's son. The SEALs recovered valuable intel and the body of bin Laden and then left the compound, but not before destroying the downed helo. A standby.
I hope someday we get to know just how much information they got out of there, because it must have been an absolute treasure trove. And there must have been a lot of scared bad guys in the world the night after this assault, after Operation Neptune, because this was textbook, wasn't it? This was fantastic. The strike in another nation, a nation that could potentially have taken this in a very bad way. I believe Pakistan did take it in a bad way, that it was launched without their knowledge, just to ensure that we got bin Laden, and then to be able to get an absolute treasure trove of int off the guy. And in my opinion, good thing that he didn't stand trial. Good thing that he got buried at sea. Nowhere for anybody to go to and to worship. Fantastic. Yeah, I'm really, really proud of my military career. This would have been a different level, wouldn't it? Imagine saying, have you ever seen that that comedy sketch? I fucking shot bin Laden.
No one will know of your bravery. Absolutely, sir. Discretion assured.
I fucking shot bin Laden!
Yeah, that's another good one. I'll link that in the comment section.
A Chinook helicopter and the remaining Black Hawk headed back across the border to Afghanistan. The mission was a complete success, and bin Laden's body was later buried at sea within 24 hours, as per Islamic law. It's operations like Operation Neptune Spear that give us an insight into the calibre of men that make up the Navy SEALs. This is one of the reasons why there are now so many Navy SEALs, such as Jocko Willing and David Goggins, that have been catapulted to celebrity status.
My brother's an ultra runner. He does lots of 100-mile marathons and everything, and every so often he sends me through a little David Goggins clip. He is a funny guy. He is a
warfare
legend.
Becomes increasingly complicated. It's likely that special operations forces, such as the SEALs, will continue to thrive in the dark underbelly of war, and the need for such operators is going to be needed for many years to come. After all, as the old saying goes, weapons change, warriors don't. Thank you for watching this episode of The History Of. I really enjoyed making this video, and if you do enjoy this kind of content, don't forget to like and subscribe, and maybe just leave a little comment with any topics you'd like me to cover in the future. As always, thank you for watching, and thank you for being on the right side of history.
Excellent. Cheers, buddy. Thanks for inviting us to check that out. I hope you enjoyed the video. Get across to him. He's got a few videos out there. Like I say, around about 80 subscribers, so let's bolster that number up. I can remember being at 50 subscribers, and every time I launched a video I was like, Millie, we've got 10 views, and you guys are supplying that within like 2 minutes now, so thank you. The live giveaway, it will happen on Sunday. What date is Sunday? Millie, what day is it today? It's the 18th today, is it? So 19th, 21st. There you go, that's how well prepared I am. 21st, Sunday night, the 21st of February. It will be a 2100 hours, so 9 o'clock GMT UK time, GMT Greenwich Mean Time, and I'll be doing it on YouTube. If you want to enter those, I'll be linking the video at the end here. All you need to do is be a subscriber. You need to comment yes on one of the previous videos and like the video, so I'd appreciate that support. And yeah, let's hope that there's some more great videos out there where we can do this little me, big picture. And we can get some decent content cracked. Hope to see you again very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.